If you're watching this video, there's a good chance that you are like me and not that great at Flesh and Blood. Maybe you're somewhat decent, but you're really not taking down even your armories every week, and you're probably getting your butt kicked quite often, and you really want to improve. But this video is not going to be a bunch of tips and tricks, you know, put a dice on your deck so you can remember your spring tunic counter. No, this video is going to be about the most important factor to growing and becoming a better player, and that is your mindset. Because when looking to improve at this game and basically anything in life, you have the choice of two mindsets. You can adopt the mindset of the Timmy or the Chad. You see, Timmy is new to Flesh and Blood, but he's played other card games, and so he feels pretty confident that he should be able to learn this one pretty easy, and it shouldn't be that difficult. He doesn't have to spend that much time actually learning. He's played a few games to know the base rules, and then he should be fine. So he goes to the LGS, he's playing maybe the base blitz deck, and he gets steamrolled. Like, just absolutely steamrolled, completely crushed. And, you know, it's annoying. He's not happy about it, but, you know, he's new. It hasn't really bothered him that much yet. He would have liked to at least win one game, but of course, everybody else has the legendaries, and he doesn't because, well, I mean, who's gonna spend that much on a single trading card? Like, that's just insane, right? But he doesn't even come close to winning that night. And so he goes home and, you know, maybe he watches a YouTube video or two. He finds a few tips and tricks. He listens to a podcast once and then goes, okay, I've got it. I'm good at this game now. I know what I'm doing. I can go in and I can get some wins. And so he goes back to the LGS and he gets his butt kicked completely again. And now Timmy starts to get bitter. Timmy starts to get angry. Well, it's so unfair. He doesn't have all the expensive cards like his opponents have. That's why they keep winning. His decks aren't as finely tuned because he hasn't spent the money into them. That's why his opponents keep winning. He starts to get frustrated when he's playing, and he starts to get even flippant and maybe not even really trying to make plays because he's just given up from the get-go. He sees the legendary cards and that he doesn't have them and goes, well, there's no way I can win, so why even try? And so he doesn't try, and he loses over and over and over, and he starts to get more and more resentful, more and more bitter towards not only the game, but his opponents, to the people in the community. He starts to see everybody as tryhards, as overly competitive assholes. I mean, aren't these games supposed to be for fun? Why is everybody so competitive? It's just an armory. It's just a few cold foil prizes. Who cares? Why is everybody trying so hard? Timmy is the kind of guy who goes to Reddit and just complains about how expensive the game is and how unfair that is. Meanwhile, while he's typing out those comments online, he's got his phone open next to him with his food delivery app waiting for his overpriced McDonald's to come. The Timmy mindset is a mindset based around the ego. It's the mindset that you shouldn't have to put in the work to become good. It's that you are good enough as is. If only you had these expensive cards, if only you drew the right cards in that game, if only your opponent didn't get lucky, you would have won. If only. That's the Timmy mindset. The Timmy mindset is the mindset that keeps you where you are. It says that you are good enough right now. It's just these other external factors that means you will not win. It's not the fact that you are bad at the game. No. You're perfectly good at the game, Timmy. It's just that everyone else has better cards than you. The Timmy mindset is the mindset that leaves people to quitting a game like Flesh and Blood, acting as if it's just too competitive, it's just too bullshit, it's too expensive, and they'll never play it again. Chad, on the other hand. Chad goes down to his LGS with the same blitz deck that Timmy went to, and he gets steamrolled. But instead of focusing on the fact that his opponent has all the legendary cards, Chad looks at his opponent and says, hey, is there anything in that game that I did wrong? Is there anything that I can do to improve? And you'll find very quickly, if you have the Chad mindset, that your opponents will probably be very kind and generous, and they will immediately start giving you advice. The Chad asks his opponents if there's any upgrades they can make to the deck within budget that will improve it. He doesn't just sit there bitter and resentful that his opponents have better things than him. Chad accepts the fact that he's playing on a budget and that he maybe can't afford all the expensive cards right away, and so he needs to just improve within those limits. Chad doesn't view his opponents as try-hard assholes. He appreciates the fact that every single one of them had to start out as a new player and had to learn and develop the skill to become good at the game. Chad relishes in the competition of the game and understands that in order to become good, he's going to have to put in the work. He can't just go home and watch a couple YouTube videos and expect that to be enough. He's going to have to play. He's going to have to grind. He's going to have to spend quite a bit of time becoming good at the game. And instead of hating the competitive players in his community, he makes friends with them. He asks them for advice. He asks them for guidance. He uses their knowledge and expertise to improve his own skills. When they criticize something about his deck or the way he's playing, he doesn't take it to heart. He doesn't let his ego get in the way. He takes it and says, okay, I am not good enough. There is a piece of advice with which I can use to improve. Chad doesn't consider himself to be amazing at the game. In fact, he probably views himself as a worse player than he actually is, but he knows that he needs to have that mindset in order to continue to grow, because that's what the Chad mindset is. It's the mindset of growth. And I know what you're thinking, but Sloop, like the legendaries are still necessary to play like the best decks, like they are the best cards. And you're right. You're right. The legendaries are the best cards. If you want to really truly get into this game, you will eventually need to pick up the legendaries. But you don't need to start with them, because you know what? If you start this game with fully tuned decks and you're a brand new player, you're still going to lose, because this is a game of skill. And let's fast forward a little bit. Both Timmy and Chad have been playing for a couple of months. They both now have fully tuned decks. They've spent the money. They've got the legendaries. Who do you think is going to be the better player? Is it going to be Timmy, who has spent his time complaining and whining and whinging about the fact that he can't win? Is it going to be the guy who's been bitter and resentful towards his fellow Flesh and Blood players? Is it going to be the one acting like he's really good at the game if only he had the legendary cards? Or is it going to be the guy who accepted that he wasn't that great, who started to learn, who took the time and effort to watch gameplay, to actually listen to multiple podcasts, to find information, to glean knowledge from his fellow players? Is it going to be the person who actually went out and tried to improve? Reject the Timmy mindset. Be a Chad.